A very good evening and welcome to English News Bulletin here on Rwanda Television. We hope that you had a productive Monday. Let's begin our edition with the headlines. Parliamentarians have called on the National Bank of Rwanda to address the persistent issue of businesses demanding to pay in foreign currency for certain services. A delegation of female parliamentarians from CLR Leone engaged in discussions with their Rwandan counterparts. On the international scene, the rise of AI tools like ChatGPT has sparked debate in higher education, raising questions about ethics and integrity in teaching, learning, and knowledge creation. My name is Olive Neten. It's always a pleasure to have you with us. Now let's begin our edition in the details. Parliamentarians have called on the National Bank of Rwanda to address the persistent issue of businesses demanding payment in US dollars for certain services and to ensure that banking services are accessible in languages understood by the general public. We have details on this story. Members of Parliament have raised concerns about the increasing practice of businesses in Rwanda demanding payments in US dollars instead of the local currency, a complaint often voiced by traders. This issue was highlighted during the presentation of the Central Bank of Rwanda's report, with MPs warning that such practices could pose a risk to the stability of the Rwandan franc.
The
existing measures mandate that Rwandans use the Rwandan franc for transactions, yet some businesses still require payments in foreign currency, particularly in the rental or commercial and residential properties area. What is the National Bank of Rwanda doing to eliminate this practice, especially considering its impact on the value of our currency? In areas where this practice persists, what actions has BNR taken to advise those businesses or implement measures that would set an example for others? If this continues, it could lead to the devaluation of our currency and a situation where everyday prices, such as taking a taxi motorcycle ride or purchasing soap, requires foreign currency to be used.
Parliamentarians have urged the National Bank of Rwanda to ensure the use of Kinyarwanda in the delivery of financial services to the public. They emphasized that providing information in the local language would help customers better understand the terms and conditions of contracts with financial institutions regulated by the National Bank.
Regarding the language used in providing financial services to the public, it should also be offered in Kinyarwanda to ensure that people who prefer this language can easily access and understand these services. The Kinyarwanda option should be presented in a clear and simple manner, making it easier for the public to comprehend rather than relying solely on foreign languages that require interpretation.
The governor of the National Bank of Rwanda, John Rwangombwa, has called on the public to report instances where business demand payment in US dollars, assuring that those found engaging in such practices will be held accountable.
When someone in a neighborhood is asked to pay in foreign currency, it is often difficult for us to find out immediately. However, when individuals involved in commercial activities are requested to pay in foreign currency, they inform those requesting it that the country's policy prohibits such practices, and they usually complain to us, and that is how we become aware and take action. To address this, we have implemented measures to pursue those engaging in such practices. We are collaborating with various institutions, including the City of Kigali, the National Police and the Rwanda Investigation Bureau, to ensure we can track and follow up on businesses demanding foreign currency in violation of the law. We are closely monitoring the situation.
The National Bank of Rwanda is also working to enhance the availability of documents in Kinyarwanda, particularly those intended for public use. The report presented by the National Bank of Rwanda to the Parliament covers the activities for the period from July 1st, 2023 to June 30th, 2024. To more news, a delegation of female parliamentarians from Sierra Leone engaged in discussions with their Rwandan counterparts, focusing on their contributions to national development. Honorable Wayata Bernadette Songa, chairperson of the Women's Caucus in Sierra Leone's parliament, noted that the lessons learned from Rwanda will support their ongoing constitutional review process in Sierra Leone.
I led my delegation to Rwanda Parliament to be able to learn from them on legislations and policies that they have passed that enhanced the Gender Equality Act that empower women to be more in Parliament. At the moment, we passed the law, the 30% quota law in Sierra Leone, and we are in the process of implementing. But at the moment, we want to learn to be able to know how we ensure that this act is part of our constitution as a nation. We are on constitutional review in our country, and we are hoping that learning from how they ensure it becomes a law in the constitution and which policies they enacted to ensure that it supports the implementation of the GWIL Act. Once we learn that, we'll be able to make a position paper to His Excellency the President and the nation itself why we think it's necessary for us to have a law that protects women's participation in governance and policies making and in Parliament, so that in the future we will have a progressive Parliament where women are maintained, and also where we have more women in Parliament in proportion to our population as a country, because as a country we have 51% of women, and that has to be reflective in our laws and policy making.
Honorable Germaine Mukawarisa, who led the team welcoming the visitors, highlighted that the majority representation of women in Rwanda's parliament is a result of the country's strong leadership and commitment to inclusive governance. The Sierra Leonean MPs are also scheduled to visit various sites, including the Kigali Genocide Memorial at Gisozi, to deepen their understanding of Rwanda's history and resilience. Moving ahead, governance experts emphasized that African countries should prioritize the inclusion of youth and women in decision-making bodies, noting that this approach would accelerate sustainable and inclusive development. Let's hear more on this story. These union with assessing governance quality across the continent are currently in Rwanda for discussions focused on revising the benchmarks used to evaluate governance standards in African countries. Some experts argue that these revised standards should emphasize the importance of inclusivity, ensuring that no groups are excluded from governance structures.
We work together to ensure that youth have a voice in Africa, because often we have these questionnaires, but what is the input of youth? And so for us as MSTCDC and ULEAD, we have worked very hard to ensure that the youth voice is there. That has been our focus, and we've been working on this for many years. In 2021, we participated in the questionnaire being completed with the youth toolkit, and we are happy also that there is the gender toolkit as well for women, for women's voice. But mostly my organization really has worked very hard with the youth.
Felicien Usengumukiza, Deputy Chief Executive Officer of the Rwanda Governance Board, stated that these experts' visit to Rwanda reflects the country's progress in fostering inclusive governance, particularly in empowering women and youth.
This is a good opportunity for a country like Rwanda, where we started this program in 2003, where Rwanda joined with the Africa peer review mechanism, and we decided we are committed to be part of this program, because we know that sustainable development it can't be achieved without addressing some issues like climate change, inclusiveness like women and youth. As it's incorporated in our constitution, inclusiveness is very critical in our principle of good governance in Rwanda.
Self-assessment of governance by Africans, particularly in terms of the role of women and youth in national development, is emphasized as a strong foundation for the continent's sustainable progress.
Looking at the people of Africa today, we see that youth make up over 50% of the population. along with a significant number of women and girls. Therefore, we should create a dedicated focus on this issue, ensuring that these groups are both actively involved and supported in discussions about governance and economic development across the continent.
The experts highlight a gap between policy and practice, noting that while governance frameworks formally recognize the role of women and youth, their actual representation in decision-making remains limited. They argue that this disconnect hinders inclusive and accelerated development in African countries. To more news, experts from the East African Community partner states gather in Kigali for a 3-day meeting aimed at strengthening regional security by developing protocols to address chemical, biological, radiological, nuclear, and explosive threats. Adam Skizera with more on this.
A diverse group of experts, including doctors, scientists, chemists, military personnel, police officers, and civilians, came together to develop a comprehensive document that will guide the military operations of EAC partner states. Brigadier General Dr. Eugene Goga emphasized that the forum would enhance the region's readiness and interoperability to ensure security and health.
Our region is facing different outbreaks, including Marburg virus, for which Rwanda registered since its emergency on 27th of September this year, a total of 66 cases, including 15 deaths. That's case fatality rate of 23%, the lowest reported since its discovery in 1967. This marked a massive success for global health security, underscoring the importance of establishing a rapid, effective, and well-coordinated joint task force for outbreak response, as well as collaboration with different partners. We are deeply thankful to your countries for their direct involvement in supporting Rwanda to respond effectively to the Marburg virus outbreak. No new cases has been reported since 29th of October this year.
Colonel Deng Mayang, Defense Liaison Officer from South Sudan and representative of the EAC Secretary General, expressed confidence in the meeting's success.
And then our region is not exceptional from the other part of the world. We have seen a lot of terrorist attack, and we are part of the global community, and we've seen a lot of shifting in the strategies and operation for those terrorists. So it is of our best interest to know how things are moving. Yes, and I believe that we are on the right track. As the East African community, we will be able to move together with the rest of the world in terms of preparation for those attacks.
Brigadier General Dr. Eugene Goga also noted that this meeting will enhance region's readiness, hence to ensure safety and security.
This forum, we are demonstrating the spirit of unity that underpins the EAC. Together, we have the opportunity to forge protocols and procedures that will enhance our readiness, improve our interoperability, and ensure the safety and security of our region. This initiative also reflects our alignment with international best practices while addressing the specific realities of our region.
From 18th to 20th November 2024, experts from the East African Community EAC partner states gathered in Kigali, Rwanda for the multi-agency experts working group meeting. The 3-day meeting aimed to develop standard operating procedures and protocols for handling chemical, biological, radiological, nuclear, and explosive threats within EAC member states. Adam Squizera, RwandaTV News.
Thank you, Adams, for the detailed report. Now to environmental matters. Electric vehicle experts have found that retrofitting more than 100,000 gasoline-powered motorcycles to electric vehicles will contribute highly to achieving the country's aim of environmental conservation. Prince Manzi with the details.
Currently in Rwanda, there are 3,000 electric motorbikes with 100,000 motorbikes needed to be retrofitted to electric motorbikes. Simon Ting, the business development manager at the Rwanda Electric Motors, cites the benefits of retrofitting engines.
Because once a bike is being converted to run on electric, it runs like other electric bikes, right? And to the motor riders, perhaps one of their biggest concerns will be cost, right? So by switching to an electric bike, they actually reduce their time in maintenance, right? And also in terms of profits, right? Our research has shown that operating an electric bike as a motor taxi as compared to a petrol-driven bike as a motor taxi, right? The savings is like more than 1,200 USD per year.
Dr. Abaho Gershom, a researcher at the University of Rwanda, took part in the research being conducted for a year and a half on retrofitting motorbike engines. The study will conclude with a worth of 90 million Rwandan francs.
So it is really very, very useful and important for the country to consider this. And we thank the government of Rwanda and the NCST that also has seen it important. And I would say, as far as our research is concerned, we can see that together with this policy that is coming out of stopping allowing these motorcycles to enter in the country, together with the mobilization that can be done to electrofit the ones that are inside the country, everything will be very good.
The worth of retrofitting the motorbike engine from gasoline powered to electric is around 500 and 600,000 Rwandan francs. Donat Kabanda, one of the providers of this service, affirms that there are ways of assisting those in need of this service.
We are into talks with several financing institutions to have it as a solution to make a relaxed payment. So if the riders are able to decide to change, and then we are able to link them with the financial institution so that they don't feel the pain of paying the upfront payment of the amount that is required to retrofit, and then the payment would be relaxed, maybe spread into a period of 1 year, and this would be a solution that would last for the next 2 to 3 years for them to be able to pay without feeling much pain. Actually, the savings that they would be making by the savings of electricity versus the petrol that they would be using would be the cost that would be offsetting the pain for retrofitting. The retrofitting cost that they would incur by paying us in terms of retrofitting their bikes.
Starting January 2025, Rwanda will cease registering petrol-powered motorbikes for public transport in Kigali, restricting new registrations to electric motorcycles. The policy underscores the government's commitment to sustainable transportation as part of its broader e-mobility strategy.
Thank you, Prince, for the details. Now to the education sector. Students at the University of Rwanda have demonstrated that expanding their knowledge and fostering entrepreneurial skills provide a solid foundation for creating their own job opportunities and securing a successful future. Enora Gladys reports.
These trainings are currently taking place at the University of Rwanda College of Science and Technology in partnership with the international organization UNIPOD and supported by the United Nations Development Programme UNDP, which is aimed at equipping students with skills to use available opportunities and implement their ideas.
We had already the ideas in place, and from the backgrounds that we had and the education system that we had, which was not targeting to the challenges we have, so that we can be boosted to be the innovators. So we had that challenge of such a facility comes to answer as a solution. This Unipod came as a solution to all of those background challenges and also curriculum challenges. Now we are good that it is now available and stakeholders are willingly to support the innovation.
With this innovation and technology, inspirations we get here from these meetings and these advisories, they help us to know what how can we use our knowledge, how can we use our skills in the most easiest way to reach where we want to reach.
So this training is really impactful for me, for example, in my business, and I think for the other people that came here for this bootcamp, because we learn how to use the machines to design new products, to design jewelries, accessories, decoration. So it's really helpful. And for me, for example, it's really good because I will go back to my country, Burkina Faso, and train other peoples. And that's the same thing for the other people that came from various countries.
Dr. Raymond Ndikumana, the Deputy Vice-Chancellor for Strategic Plan and Administration in the University of Rwanda, explained the significance of this training for students.
Innovation Week came because we also wanted to have a forum, to create a forum for us to discuss what we have achieved when it comes to the innovation space, when it comes to academia and industry relationship. Obviously, in the past few years, we started different initiatives to have incubation hub, starting, for example, for the Grid Innovation Hub. We have, which was looking at energy sector. We had data incubation hub and many different hubs. So the key question was, okay, if they're there, how do we also take a stock of what we have been doing, but also showcase what we have been doing in the innovation space.
Yves Iradukunda, the Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of ICT and Innovations, reminded the students to use the opportunities around them.
It's a great opportunity to engage, and here particularly the Unipod, where there is a space for students to access labs, to access programs that support innovation program. Of course, at the University of Rwanda, they have research and development that is supported by the professors, but now specifically for the students, they're able to come in this space, and beyond the Innovation Week, they are working on different projects on a daily basis. So when you look at the kind of things that they have available to them, it's the equipment, it's the infrastructure that is in place, different rooms for collaboration, and what we are seeing is that really higher and higher quality of the products they're designing and proposing into the market.
The expected achievement of the objectives for the Innovation Week will have a range of impacts and contribute to previous year's achievements. Participants will learn about innovations developed by UR staffs and students that address challenges. These trainings, which is being held for the third time, has brought together youth from various African countries. Enora Gladys, RwandaTV News.
You're still watching RwandaTV News, now to matters making news headlines around the world. The rise of AI tools like ChatGPT has sparked debate in higher education, raising questions about ethics and integrity in teaching, learning, and knowledge creation. In South Africa, some academic institutions are taking a practice approach, integrating AI into curricula. Experts say this step is not only innovative, but also helps level the playing field among students. VOA has the details.
This is a final year law class in South Africa, where students are using advanced AI tools like ChatGPT provided by the university. The University of the Witwatersrand is among several institutions embracing AI in the classroom here. Law professor Nicole Steyn believes these tools are helping to create a more inclusive learning environment.
But we have this reality that we have 12 different languages and various backgrounds, and now it's allowing us to actually start looking at the knowledge behind it, not just how great you are at English.
An ongoing study across 5 South African universities examines how students are using generative AI in their studies. Chikezi Uzukgunam from Rhodes University says the tools are especially helpful for first-year students learning how to write academically and later as study aids and tutors.
Just like when Google came out or when the internet came out and even calculators, there were a whole lots of moral panic, and especially people trying to say, oh, what is the future of academic integrity when we allow these technologies to have their way? But we think that in the next few years, AI is going to become normal. So the question is, how do we begin to have conversations about how students can use AI effectively and ethically?
Ethics remain a central challenge for African universities adopting AI. Eduvos, a private university in South Africa, actively integrates AI into its classes. However, both staff and students are still navigating its implications.
No assignment at the moment, a traditional assignment, cannot not be done by AI. So what does that mean? We simply have to redesign the way we assess. It's on us to educate also our students on what is plagiarism at the moment. If you copy and paste something directly from ChatGPT, is that plagiarism even if you declare its use? I think this is a very important and valid question and something we have to grapple with.
At WITS, law students are thriving with the support of AI, while the technology gradually impacts society and industries.
I think it's an incredible tool and I'm really glad I have it. It makes work a lot easier. But do I think my job's going away? No, I don't. I think I'll be fine.
By embracing AI, these South African universities hope to bridge gaps in academic backgrounds and access to knowledge, moving towards a more equitable education system. Zahir Kassem, VOA News, Johannesburg, South Africa.
Now to the United States, the Holocaust Museum in Los Angeles recently installed a new exhibit on its roof, a German-made freight car that was used to deport Jews across Nazi-occupied Europe to the Majdanek concentration camp near Lublin, Poland. VOA once more.
Holocaust survivor Jacob Eisenbach is 101. He was born in a big family in Poland, but lost all his loved ones during the Second World War.
When the war broke out, Hitler killed my entire family. I had a family of 100 people. I am the only survivor of those 100 people. I survived by miracles.
At the start of the war, Eisenbach was sent to a labor camp in the Polish city of Starzyska Kamienna, and he made that trip in one of the freight cars Germans used for transporting livestock, food, and Jews.
After 3 days and 3 nights in a railroad car, just like this one, horrible. There were 150 people loaded in one car box. Standing room only. There was no room even to turn around. And many people just got a piece of bread for 3 days and 3 nights and no water.
In Los Angeles, California, one of these freight wagons has been installed. Nearby will be a special pavilion where visitors and student groups can learn more about the freight car's grim purpose.
This artifact will be the largest artifact in our collection. It's our newest artifact, and it will be the most powerful artifact that we have. This boxcar was unearthed outside of the Majdanek death camp in Poland. We believe that it was used to transport Jews from Lublin, Poland to the Majdanek death camp.
Millions of Jews were transported to concentration camps in wagons just like this one. And it's no accident rails and wagons have become deadly symbols of the most infamous camp, Auschwitz. Over 1 million Jews were sent to Auschwitz during the Holocaust, and most of them died there.
And my grandmother was put on a transport in January of 1945 from Auschwitz to Ravensbrück, which was an all-women's camp north of Berlin. And she was packed in a boxcar for days in the middle of the winter. And she says the only thing that kept her alive was being able to eat the snow through the cracks of the boxcar.
Beth Keen's grandmother, as well as Jacob Eisenbach, survived the Holocaust. But over 6 million Jews and other people deemed undesirable by the Nazis did not. and this museum exhibit serves as a powerful reminder of those dark times. For Angelina Bagdasaran in Los Angeles, Anna Rice, VOA News.
And this brings us to the end of tonight's bulletin, but before we leave, a reminder of our top stories. Parliamentarians have called on the National Bank of Rwanda to address the persistent issue of businesses demanding payment in foreign currency for certain services. A delegation of female parliamentarians from Sierra Leone engaged in discussions with their Rwandan counterparts focusing on their contributions to national development. On the international scene, the rise of AI tools like ChatGPT has sparked debate in higher education, raising questions about ethics and integrity in learning, teaching, and knowledge creation. Thank you for joining us to today's broadcast. On behalf of the technical and news production team, we wish you a week filled with success and productivity. Stay tuned for more updates, and until next time, goodbye.